Thank you all for joining the meeting tonight. Upon joining, please mute your phone and turn your videos off. Thank you.
You could talk to where I go fly when somebody wants to.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the members of the public. If you are not a board member, please mute your phone and turn your camera off. Thank you.
Dr. Juckins, Tanisha, I think we're just awaiting a few more commissioners to join, or no?
No, we don't need a quorum this evening, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair McFadden. We will get started. Good evening and welcome to the December 7th, 2003 special work session for the 2023-2024 annual review recommendations. The board is offering 2 opportunities to hear testimony from the public regarding these recommendations. Tonight is the operator renewal work session and COMAR hearing number 1. The next opportunity is scheduled for Thursday, October 11th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. If you would like to sign up to speak for this meeting, please visit the City Schools website at www.baltimorecityschools.org for more information. I would like to thank the community for coming out and testifying. We will start tonight's hearing with a recap presentation from Ms. Angela Alvarez, followed by public testimony at 6:30. Please keep your phones muted and videos off until it is your time to testify, or you may be muted or removed from the call. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Chair McFadden.
McFadden, present.
Good evening. Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Coy, present.
Good evening. Commissioner Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito, present.
Commissioner King good evening. Commissioner King Bay. Commissioner Lawson. Commissioner Muhammad.
Good evening, Present.
Good evening. Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Sally. Commissioner Slater Harrington. And Commissioner Roberts, I am present. Thank you all for joining. Each school will have 4 minutes to present to the board, and after each presentation, the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. Can someone mute their phone, please? After the board is finished with questions, we will transition to the next school. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to Ms. Angela Alvarez for the presentation. Good evening, Angela.
Good evening. I'm Angela Alvarez. I'm the Senior Executive Director for the Office of New Initiatives, and I'm joined by...
Good evening. My name is Trevor Roberts. I'm a specialist in the Office of Initiatives. We want to preserve as much time as possible for the school, so I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the renewal process, and then we will move on to the school presentations. So operator renewal is the district's annual review of charter schools and other operator-led schools as their contracts come up to close to their end. Renewal can result in renewal terms of 8 years, 5 years, 3 years, or non-renewal. The review is a holistic review where we're looking at the academic programming at the school, school climate, and the financial management and governance of the school. It's a multi-level review that is done by the district and stakeholders through the Charter and Operator-led Advisory Board, and the final decision on all recommendations rests with the board. And if we look at the timeline, we'll see that tonight is the operator work session, and the board will be voting on these recommendations on January 23rd. For members of the public, if you want more information on the process, it is on the district website with detailed reports on each school. So I encourage you, if you want more information, to check that out. So we're going to move right on to our first school. It's Baltimore International Academy West, which is operated by Baltimore International Academy Incorporated. And it is recommended for a 3-year renewal. So I'm going to hand it over to Baltimore International Academy West.
Okay, thank you so much. We would like to show a short video, and then a student is going to give a closing remark right at the end. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm sorry. Okay, can everyone see the video up on the screen?
The black screen for the moment, but if you start it, I'm sure we can see it.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners, Dr. Centerpieces, and all. My name is Dr. Kona Fatia Ferenepe, operator of BIA. BIA is a multilingual international baccalaureate school that teaches Baltimore City children through the medium of world languages. Our school committee and I are here and would like to thank you for the opportunity to talk about our first charter renewal and answer your questions.
Good evening, I'm Connie Shao, principal. Our school has been in existence for only 4 years, of which almost 2 years were virtual. Despite the many challenges, we made good strides, especially in fidelity to charter and academic growth, effective in mathematics, and highly effective in ELA. We are aware that we have a lot of work to do. We will not rest until each child is proficient in math and ELA.
Hello, I'm Sue Edmondson, the grandmother of Alice Renee Anderson, kindergarten French, and Walter Anderson, first grade Spanish. My grandkids are doing excellent at BIA West, and I am so happy to partner with this school, who are great advocates for academics. So I say go all the way, my beloved BIA.
My name is Shaquille Lancaster, 13 years old, student at Baltimore International Academy West. One thing about me besides my amazing height, I'm also a smart and good kid. I enrolled here in 5th grade 3 years ago. I loved every minute of it. I like my caring and helpful teachers. Aside from the lesson talk and reading, math, Spanish, I also learned to be caring, respectful, empathetic, and appreciative. Learning other languages like French and Spanish will help me build a better future. The school wants to change our lives for the better.
I am Patrick Harris, Principal Leader for BIE West. Language immersion programs for all students, especially Black and Brown students, are tickets to a multitude of opportunities. It's like having a secret code to unlock the successes in academics and the workforce. We talked about college and career ready. Language immersion programs provide a solid example for producing kids who are just that, college and career ready. When a student learns a language at an early age, the brain development increases. Research shows that bilingual children become more flexible and agile thinkers. Immersion programs are catalysts for equity, breaking down barriers, and empowering Black and Brown students to shape their own narrative.
Thank you. And I believe we have a student on who would like to make a quick closing remark.
Everyone for listening to us and approving us. Gracias.
Oh, did that conclude the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
For the student that just offered remarks, who was that? What was that student's name?
My name is Shaquille Lancaster.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Okay, so
He spoke on the video.
Okay, thank you so much. You're also echoing. To my board colleagues, I will open the floor for questions. Someone is not muted.
So if you all are in the same space with your devices on, that may be one of the reasons why we're getting the feedback. So someone may need to turn their device down, so maybe only one device's volume is up so that we don't hear the feedback in the background.
Thank you all so much. I will pose my question again to the full board, that for members that are present this evening before I ask my question, or perhaps I should just leave. I will ask my question first. Thank you so much to the Baltimore International Academy West School community for attending. I'm just particularly interested this evening around your programming for students receiving, or your students with disabilities. Could you speak to us, as that is an area of not effective currently for you, for this particular school community? If you could speak to us around intentional efforts to improve those efforts for students with disabilities. You all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So regarding our students with disabilities, we still provide the supports, the programs, the accommodations that they need as per what is mandated in their IEP. So regular meetings, providing transportation, modifications in their work in such a way that they can bridge the gap so they can meet academic success in their learning, at the same time facilitate learning. So we have, some of them have one-on-one support in order for them to be guided accordingly. And they are also given, or they also attend resource subjects, like they go to trade, they go to gym, they have their technology. So basically, what the regular students get is also being taken in or given to students to our special students. So it's not a matter of quantity, but we are after the quality of education that we are extending to our students. So there is equality and equity that is being provided to both the regular and our special students in the classroom, and sometimes we go out also. So what is mandated or required in the IEP, it is provided to them. So there is equality, there is quality, and there is equity. Thank you, ma'am.
I just want to add that, good evening, that we also do small group instruction daily and with focusing on differentiation.
Thank you. I can appreciate both of your responses. I know that as it relates to special education and related services nationally, and certainly Baltimore City Public Schools is not absent of experiencing shortages with practitioners in that area. How are you all planning, should you all receive a renewal period for another 3 or 5 years, to respond or to kind of foreshadow those recruitment challenges to support students with students with disabilities in the future, because that's something we're currently experiencing. So how forward thinking are we around recruitment efforts to securing support for those students, since this is an area of opportunity for the school community?
As you rightly said, teacher recruitment is a challenge. What we are doing currently, and the other colleagues can add to this, and we are partnering with universities that have education departments or colleges to be able to get an head start on teachers that are coming out of those areas, especially in the area of special education. We have partnerships with the local universities, and currently we are working on partnerships with CAPI, and I will let Dr. Harris talk a little bit about that.
Hey, hi, good evening, Dr. Harris. There's a few items that we are working through. One, getting here and doing the observations. We've reached back to Baltimore City to ensure that we had a tenured IEP chair to run the process of the meetings. And then secondly, as Dr. Napay alluded to, we are dealing with a shortage of teachers. But we started early in this process to provide and do research around Indeed to ensure that we are receiving solid candidates with a background and a certification in special education.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Harris. I appreciate your response and your transparency around just the challenges that we all are experiencing at this time around this particular body of work. So I appreciate your response. To my colleagues, before we move to the next school community, are there any additional questions? Chair McFadden.
Good evening, and thank you, Vice Chair Roberts. Going back to, I want to stay on this for a moment, Vice Chair, and to the team as it relates to special education. I'm more interested in hearing, I know you all mentioned implementing individualized education plans, There was some information regarding differentiation in small groups. Typically, those are best practices for all students. I'm curious to know if there is a specified plan to support students who are receiving special education services school-wide. Is there, can someone speak to specific planning around improvement? Because special education is an area, but also work around continuous improvement is also a challenge given the 5 essentials survey information. So what is the plan to support students and maybe some strategies that will be able to benefit all students? Yes, you're looking at each student's individual plan, and it's nice to hear that you've hired a IEP chair to support the process, but can we hear a little bit more to the overall school-wide plan specifically that will support students receiving special education services?
Okay, I can address that. So this is what happening, sir. So first, we try to look at their, of course, we give them assessment, their learning style, where they're supposed to be. And then at the same time, we look at the scores in their iReady. So in the iReady, it says like, based on their scores, there are, the students are grouped according to their level of performance. So there is instructional grouping already. So for the most part, we use those instructional groupings. For example, it says like 2 students need much more support, whereas another group needs less support, where another group needs no support. So what is happening right now, we try to address the lowest performing group to provide like what they need. So along this line, there is also, we have also that intervention after school tutoring. Okay, so we call parents, tell the students to grab this opportunity because it is for their own good that they need to measure their growth. They need to improve their scores. So we also like do the data link assessment so we can determine if they are progressing. So for the special kids in particular, again, as I have said earlier, so we provide modifications and accommodations for them. As I've said, like we are not after quantity, we are after quality in order to see our kids measuring the growth. So those and teachers also, in particular, we are flexible. Sometimes we always step in when where there is a need, just to help and to support our special education students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So I hear some enrichment opportunities that you all are providing after school that align to data analysis that you all are doing. Along with that, can you also speak to math as it relates to MCAT? We know that math has been a challenge for a lot of schools post-pandemic, through the pandemic and post-pandemic. Illuminate for us some of the strategies that you all are employing school-wide to support growth in the area of mathematics and critical thinking.
So I just want to add that we use iReady professionals to do the targeted professional development around the data analysis and also small group instruction. We use BOY, MOY, and EOY to track students' progress. We're also get every teacher to be trained on Orton Gillingham to get more strategies.
Orton Gilliam is specifically for students receiving special education services, correct?
Yes.
So that's specific to special education. Is there any more strategy that you all can speak to that supports improvement in the area of mathematics?
Yeah. We have, this is Dr. Nipe, we have, based on the need of the school, we have many interventionists, math intervention. We know that most of the times students that really need the intervention will not stay after school on Saturday. We have after school tutoring, we have Saturday tutoring, but we make sure that they are also getting intervention during the school days. We have several intervention teachers for mathematics at the elementary level and at the middle school level. So they are here in the school to work with them when we have them in school.
We also use a data link to create the common assessment based on the data we have.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If there are no additional questions by the board, we can transition to the next school community. I'll turn it back over to you, Angela.
Can I make a quick statement? Never mind.
I believe if this is a member of the community, we will accept public comment at 6:30 at the conclusion of the school presentations, Angela. That's correct?
That's correct. Right now, this is exclusively, we just concluded with BIA. Unless this is a member of the BIA team who wants to say something to clarify, otherwise we can't comment right now.
I am a member of BIA team. And I just wanted to say that I was listening because I'm not in the school anymore all the time. But as far as the students with disabilities, everybody spoke about the academic support. There's also the social emotional learning support that the school is doing for all students, but also students with disabilities need that little extra because it can be, hard on your self-esteem to need the special services. So the school has done restorative practices. It's also done mindfulness training with the students. They have a mindfulness room, or not they, we, a mindfulness room where students, especially students with disabilities who have emotional problems sometimes and kind of meltdowns, there's a place they can go and there's a person there that can work with them. So I just wanted to add that while we're giving the academic support, there's also social emotional learning support for these students. That's all. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ms. Cobb.
I'm going to have Trevor come up and introduce, he's going to put the deck back up and introduce the next school.
Thank you to BIA West. Our next school is Green Street Academy. They are operated by Green Street Academy Incorporated, and they are recommended for a 5-year renewal. So Green Street, you can come on up.
Good evening, everyone. We are pulling up our presentation. Can you see the presentation? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Denisha Logan, and I Executive Director at Green Street Academy. We want to first thank Dr. Santelises and the review team for recommending us for 5 additional years. We are supercharged up about the opportunity to serve our scholars, the families, and the West Baltimore community. Tonight, you will hear from a number of Green Street family members, and I'm going to start by kicking it off to our principal, Principal Peel.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to share. As the proud principal of Green Street, I am pleased to share what makes us a premier institution where our scholars are learning and thriving and succeeding every day. So we have a few things that we're really charged up and excited about. One of those things is we currently have a 95.4 graduation rate. This is quite exciting when we look at our district average, which is 70.5. So our scholars are going to college or are graduating at high levels, even competing with our state rate. We also annually offer over 120 internships or 120 plus paid internships to our scholars on an annual basis. We have a 93% attendance rate currently. Last year, that attendance rate was 89. So we've done a lot of work there to ensure that our scholars are coming to school and this is a place where they want to be. Our next slide shares a little bit about some of the internships that we have been able to place our scholars in. Those internships range from BG&E, Constellation Energy, to Whiting Turner, to Urban Alliance, the Boys and Girls Club, BCCC, Bond Secure. We are really adamant about partnering with local businesses and local community organizations to ensure that our scholars are here in Baltimore. We also have partnered with the Baltimore Ravens and the Boys and Girls Clubs to create a new athletic facility here at Green Street. And so we are really excited and charged up about that because that facility is going to pave the way for even a more robust athletic programming here, as well as robust programming for our scholars to get fit. So we're excited about that. In terms of environmental learning, this is a signature aspect of our programming. We have 3 CTE pathways that we offer: urban agriculture, construction design management, as well as healthcare, which is our pre-nursing track. And in our urban agriculture programming, our students get exposure to hydroponic farming. We have a 100 feet hoop house, a 500 square foot garden. We have a chicken and duck coop. We have so many things that our students are learning and engaging in. We have trout and yellow perch being raised right here at our school, and our scholars are constantly getting exposure to what it looks like, to what urban agriculture looks like. In regards to some of our other healthcare pathways, we are pleased to share that we're going to be starting a health tech track starting spring 2024. And so that's going to be an amazing opportunity for kids. In terms of middle schoolers, because one of the things that's really important to us is that we're creating a pipeline and that we are preparing our kids from middle school to be prepped for these pathways. So we offer in middle school several courses or several exposure opportunities so that they are starting to think about what pathways they want to go to in high school. So we've partnered with Project Lead the Way to offer medical detectives. We have a great partnership with University of Maryland CURE Scholars Program. We also have robotics in our middle school as well to kind of get our students thinking about that construction and design management pathway. In terms of course offerings, not only do we offer general courses that are credit worthy, we offer a myriad of honors and AP courses, as well as dual enrollment courses. We've partnered with BCCC, University of Baltimore, and CCBC to offer a more robust course offering to some of our scholars who are ready for that advanced placement or advanced gifted learning. In terms of intervention, accelerating academics is very important to us. We recognize that in many ways we are continuing to improve on our academics. So these are some of on the screen here are some of the interventions that we have at place, as well as the professional development offerings.
Good evening, Ms. Pill. I think you are at 4 minutes.
move academics, but also it's also important to move the social emotional and make sure that we're supporting the social emotional aspects of our students. And so on the screen here, you can see some things that we're doing. We have outside providers who work at our school every day: Hope Health, Williamson Group, Regeneration Project. We have scholar success mentors who are here supporting our scholars in the hallway. We have a climate team, PBIS incentives, reflection spaces for our scholars, and we're doing a lot of work around multi-tier systems of support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pill. I think you are at 4 minutes as per our board executive officer.
Ms. Alvarez. We're going to turn it over at this time to our attendance coordinator.
Principal Peel, you can't. Your time is up. Your time is up. You guys, your time is up. It's now time for the board to ask questions. Sorry.
I will open the floor for questions. In fact, I'll get started. My first question is around, well, first and foremost, good evening, Green Street Academy school community. My first question, two totally unrelated questions that I have this evening for you all, is specifically in the area around the family satisfaction survey, as it correlates to just improving efforts around our student achievement. That's something that as a collective portfolio, we're all actively working towards seeing some bigger gains and just intentional efforts to improve those data points in ELA and math. And so I would be interested in seeing from the Green Street or hearing from the Green Street Academy school community just around how you all are being a bit more forward thinking as to improve the relationship with your school community's families, because we're seeing that's an area of opportunity for improvement, but how you're able to work with those families to improve and work with in partnership to improve your numbers, your ELA and math student achievement numbers. You're muted.
One of the things that we've done in the past and that we will continue to do this year is have more more meetings with our families where we're talking about the MCAT, where we're talking about a lot of the intervention programs that we offer, and being able to make sure that our families are familiar with what these interventions are, making sure that we're celebrating it, having our families be more, just skilled with a lot of the personalized learning platforms that we use so that they at home can be working with their scholars to ensure that they're growing every day and complementing the work that we're currently doing in the school building. So that's one way that we're looking to continue to partner with families, making sure that we're building up their skill set in, supporting scholars with personalized learning and these platforms and what they are, what are these assessments. But we know that there's a lot of work to do around that. That's something that we acknowledge and we recognize, and we're, starting to do some of that work this year.
We're also excited about our partnership with Arts for Learning. We decided to transition to a lead agency. And so our community schools coordinator is with Arts for Learning. So that will not only bring a different outlook to the work with families, but also additional resources for our families and for our scholars. So we're really excited about the work that we're doing with them. We've been very intentional about bringing back those family nights. They've been well attended, and really working on our relationship with our PTA so that there's more of a connection of what's going on in school, and still that's being talked about with our families outside of the normal school walls.
Thank you so much for those responses. I just have one additional question before I hand it over to my other colleagues. And it's in the area of suspensions in school culture. I know that's something that, again, across the system, we're seeing an increased effort to be more intentional around our engagement with families, our engagement with students, and just generally maintaining the culture throughout our buildings. Could you speak to us a bit about your efforts around maintaining student culture, but some of the challenges that you all may be experiencing as a school community? Because we're certainly aware of just the microcosm that exists at schools throughout our system. But if you could color that in for a bit, that would be really helpful.
Well, Green Street, like many other middle and high schools in the district, we do have our challenges. Our young people come to us. Some of them are still working through relational and figuring out how to navigate the relationships with their peers. We do have a scholar success team, and our scholar success mentors work directly with individual grade levels. And so we're working through, mediating issues that may happen outside of school. We're working through the social media issues, just like many of the other schools. So our team, we have community meetings. We are doing, assemblies. We're talking to young people in smaller groups. We're also doing PBIS incentives. That's something that we brought back. We have a merit and demerit system that we are focused on. And then we're bringing in our related service providers as well to really work with our young people. I know that part of the issue is that our young people want a voice. They're trying to express themselves. To work with their peers and really share some of the things that they. Oh, am I?
No, we had lost you for a little, but we have you.
Oh, okay. And just giving our young people a voice. We want to know what's happening. Now, we can't assume that we know what's happening. We have to talk to them to get their perspective, and we do that in those community meetings, and they're able to share. And so, again, there are consequences to actions, and we do follow the code of conduct, but we are really working towards decreasing those suspensions, because we know early on, coming back to school, really getting into the swing of things, we're coming off of the summer, some issues that may have happened during that time, and now as we start to build relationships with our young people and they're building relationships with each other, we're really hoping to see that suspension rate start to decrease. I hope that answered your question.
Did, and I appreciate it. And again, certainly we know that, that school communities are a microcosm of what we're seeing happen in the larger community. And that, obviously charter schools are part of the larger portfolio, and that's something we're seeing across a lot of our schools. But we also know that in a healthy culture, school community culture, we see learning. And so I appreciate your transparency around the efforts that you're taking. And I wish you well in this renewal cycle. Chair McFadden.
Thank you very much, and good evening to the Green Street team. It's nice to see some good evening faces that are familiar, and your work, right? You all are doing some really nice things at the school for our young people and within the community. My question is going to go back to mathematics. And it's going back to mathematics because it is a challenge everywhere, right? Post-pandemic, and throughout the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, right? The way that students and schools are working through standards-based inquiry and critical thinking and academic dialogue and discourse, and being able to connect real-world scenarios to quadratic equations and all the things, multiplying, dividing, counting money, all the things, right? I'm curious to know about, because there was some great things that happened clearly as far as growth is concerned, right? So you can't always control how students come to you, right? So sometimes there are some gaps that are fairly significant, and clearly we're seeing some growth. I'm curious to know what work is being done around the area of making sure that the young people are proficient, right? Standards-based, instruction, intervention, support, all of that happening. I want to hear a little bit more about that, particularly in the middle grades, what you all are doing. What is overall strategy to support proficiency, not just the growth? Growth is great, right? But we want to make sure that our students are proficient in mathematics. And so we're looking at the middle grades in mathematics. I'm curious, what innovation are you all considering, and what best practices are you all engaging in to really see an increase in proficiency, not just growth, but proficiency for our students, and especially in the middle grades in the area of mathematics?
Yeah, as you share, math is definitely a point of, a challenge for us, but we are excited about some of the work that we've put in place to really start to shift this narrative and shift the scores that we've seen over the course of the last 2 years. A lot of this work starts with our summer programming. This year, we partnered with the Lavinia Group to offer a rigorous curriculum around math intervention and math support. So we recruited about how many middle school it was about 120 students in our middle school summer programming, and we recruited them and started off really using the summertime to really address learning loss that happens. We know so much learning loss happens in literacy, but especially in mathematics, because students don't have, there's not a lot of support around that in the summertime. So we started that work in the summertime. From there, we also have a math coach. Our math coach works intentionally with, supporting teachers in our middle grades in their classrooms, whether that's providing, modeling lessons, whether that's co-teaching with them, whether that's, lesson planning clinic and things of that nature. We also have these people called academic success tutors. Our academic success tutors sit in each and every one of our middle school math classes. So our 6th grade class has an academic success tutor in addition to the general educator, the math teacher. Our 7th grade class has this model, and our 8th grade math class. These academic success tutors work specifically and only in our math classrooms. Small groups. They're there to do pull-outs. They're there to reteach concepts, and they are, supporting around the areas where we see our gaps in the learning for our students, and they're also doing remediation. We have a lot of emphasis right now on small group instruction, as well as small group instruction, and we're also leveraging Saturday school to be able to pull every year. Last year we did this when we got close to the MCAP. We use Saturday school, looking at our data. It's going to launch in January. We look at our data and to see which students are kind of on the bubble, as well as students that are far below, and we pull those kids into Saturday school sessions where we can do additional support with them. Imagine Math has also been a huge lever for us, as well as iReady.
May I pause you? May I?
Absolutely.
What is your success with that? What is the buy-in with that Saturday program? I'm curious. Are the young people showing up, and are they engaging in that program?
They are.
Yes, we actually we were excited about how many young people we had participating last year. I mean, we have enrichment also. So they are here for the academics piece, but we also have we do breakfast, we do lunch, and we also have the enrichment. I don't know if they wanted to be here as much as their families wanted them to be here, but they were here and they were excited. Originally, I'm sure young people didn't want to give up their Saturdays, but as we went on throughout the months, they were really excited to come. And so that was a great turnout. And many of those young people also participated with us in our summer program.
Great. I know we have, there may be other questions, so I appreciate that illumination and that work and your intentionality around support. I want you to someone that just joined us needs to mute their phones. Thank you. Your partnership with Arts for Learning, you mentioned that as far as supporting family engagement. Is that the only area that Arts for Learning is supporting you all with? What are some of the other areas? And perhaps they may be supporting in those academic areas as well. So can you illuminate that?
Yeah, we're just about to start. Ms. Silva's smiling because she knows we're just about to start our residency program. So when we work on kind of like the SALA program in the summer, where we have the artist that is going to go into our middle school classes to work with and co-teach with our general educators. So we're excited about that.
Thank you all. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Absolutely. I'll open the floor to any of my other board colleagues for questions for the Green Street Academy school community. Seeing no hands and no one come on camera, thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll give it back over to Ms. Angela Alvarez.
Thank you to Green Street. We are going to move on to the final school for this operator renewal portion of tonight's session. KIPP Harmony Academy is operated by KIPP Baltimore Incorporated, and they are recommended for a 3-year renewal. So KIPP, you can start your presentation.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. If I can find them. Looking for. Here we are. Let me just do this. It's probably just easier. I'm sorry, my computer is not cooperating. Let me try this. See if that works. All right, does that work? Are you all seeing the KIPP Baltimore slide?
I see 3 adorable Kipsters on my screen.
Wonderful, thank you. Sorry, sometimes technology doesn't want to cooperate with me. Good evening. My name is Marsha Reeves, and I'm the Executive Director of KIPP Baltimore. I'm joined this evening by Natalia Adamson, our Chief Academic Officer. So Natalia, you can come on screen if you have not already. Thank you for the opportunity. Sorry?
My camera won't turn on, but I'm able to talk. I apologize.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening about KIPP Harmony Academy. We're gratified to be recommended for a 3-year renewal and hope that you will agree with that recommendation. We also recognize this is the first time we haven't been recommended for a 5-year renewal in our history, and that reflects the continuing work we have to do post-COVID, particularly in improving our academic outcomes. We want to take this opportunity to share a little bit about our academic performance and our plans for the next 3 years. So we adopted a strategic plan in the spring of 2002 and have just completed our first year of implementation of that plan. And you can see our 4 priorities of the plan on this slide. The adoption of this plan overlapped with work we had already started in early literacy and in advanced math programming in our middle grades. Both of these initiatives were in their 2nd year of implementation last year. And because neither the early literacy data nor the Algebra 1 8th grade math data is part of the K renewal rubric, we wanted to take the opportunity to share some successes with you in those areas because we believe that demonstrates the improvement we're able to make academically when we focus and as we implement other parts of our strategic plan. So like city schools, we used the DIBELS assessment to set our goals and measure our progress in early literacy. And in our first 2 years of implementation, our focus has been in grades K to 2. So you'll see on this slide that we have actually done our early literacy work with a cohort of KIPP schools. And what is reflected here is KIPP Harmony Academy student performance on the DIBELS assessment at the beginning, middle, and end of year. Compared to our cohort and the national MClass sample. So you'll see that while we started with our students below the rates of proficiency you see nationally, we ended either at or above those rates of proficiency in foundational literacy for our students.
The introduction of Algebra 1 in 8th grade was the culmination of multiple years of work, starting with an accelerated 6th grade math class. About 20% of our 8th grade students take Algebra 1. We plan to increase that percentage over time. We're excited about the success we have seen with our first 2 cohorts. Spring 23, proficiency rates increased to 71%, highest among the proficiency rates across the district in middle school and high school. That said, we know that we have significant work to do to improve our overall rates of proficiency and growth on the MCAP assessment in literacy and math. Our concern about math data caused us to reprioritize last spring and accelerate into this year a math initiative that was planned for school year 26-27. A study that KIPP completed in the schools across the country with instructional partners found the following data about our classrooms. 100% of the 31% of classrooms that use high quality instructional materials saw higher results in key domains that lead to stronger math results across those schools. This led us to focus on the adoption of a new math curriculum as the highest leverage action to improve student outcomes. We piloted last spring with our teachers, students, and families, and we adopted this school year. In addition, we drafted a math vision to guide our approach that we reference in all PD sessions and we continuously evaluate ourselves against. We shifted from Eureka Math to illustrative mathematics because it meets the bar of high quality instructional materials and aligns to the science of learning. It's more aligned to our vision and culture responsive teaching by having intentionally planned tasks in every lesson centering student voice and problem solving, and has more discourse and student collaboration, which lead to greater success for students. It makes it stick. We have early wins in implementation that you can see across our classrooms with our implementation guides on teacher planning and execution. We have wins in student data over Q1 that you can see on the screen right here. Second, fifth, and seventh grade doubled the percent of students demonstrating mastery from their checkpoint quiz to end from Unit 1 to Unit 2 end of modules and checkpoint quizzes. Third and fourth grade, 70% of our students are demonstrating mastery on their most recent end of unit assessments, a huge increase comparative to last year. Lastly, our student survey data shows that our kids' our kids' disposition towards math and their feelings about math have improved significantly. We're going to follow the same process to select and implement a new ELA curriculum next year or the year after we assess our ability to move up that initiative.
I couldn't hear, I'm sorry, it sounded like somebody was starting to tell us we were at time, but I couldn't tell, so.
You can finish this slide.
Okay, go ahead, Natalia, sorry.
Yep, so in our middle school, we saw that the blue shows students that strongly agree with those statements. Students are increasing their belief that they feel that they can be successful in mathematics. Those strongly agree was at 77%, that they enjoy math is at 63%, and that they can explain their thinking at 67%. Math behavior referrals from math classes were 4 times higher last year at this time than they are this time this year. And on the subsequent side is our elementary data that answers the same questions and shows you the same percents.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some information with you about our school and our plans for the next period of time. As Natalia said, we are looking to implement similar strategies in our core ELA classrooms as we sort of complete the launch of our math initiative this year. But we also expect that work that we have done in early literacy to help move our ELA data and our tested grades as our students enter our later grades with a stronger foundation. All right, I see that we're at time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for that, Dr. Judkins. I would open the floor to my board colleagues for questions. I will get us started. I'm certainly excited about the data that you reviewed around just your student feedback. I love to hear our students talk back to us because that is certainly why we are all here. Could you speak to me or us a bit around some of the external factors that we know that affect our intentional efforts to target our ELA and math outcomes, specifically in the area of around chronic absenteeism and suspensions? So just that correlation between student culture and just our efforts to meaningfully close some of those academic gaps that we see present.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you asked about chronic absence in particular. I'm going to ask Natalia to take a stab at that one.
Yep. So we also experience challenges with chronic absenteeism. So recently we set student bottoms up or student up goals to determine to prioritize a subgroup of students with chronic absenteeism that are in that 80 to 89% range so that we could start to target some initiatives to move them because they're closest to 90%. We know that a large portion of our students are in that range, and if we can target them and move them, we want to increase the opportunity for them to increase their success academically because we cannot meet academic outcomes with students that aren't here. And it will also allow us to then later focus on students that are more significantly behind that will require a lot more intervention and support. So last year, 61% of our students faced chronic absenteeism that you saw in our data tables. And our current goal would move us to 37% as we target that group. We met with a working group and we're initiating an evaluation of tier 1 strategies for attendance so that we could shore those up. And we've initiated stronger tier 2 strategies with SST. Last year, SST did not occur frequently at our middle school, and this year they've already had quite a few meetings regarding attendance for middle school students and for our students with behavioral needs. We also recognize that last year we had high suspension rates. This year, we have implemented new Tier 1 strategies at our middle school around the use of conscious discipline. It has already been meeting with great success in our elementary school. And through that process, we've seen a significant decrease in our referrals and suspensions. So at the middle school, as an example, we have a 52% reduction in cell phone violations, bullying, 68% reduction in disrespect and related behaviors. Last year, at the end of quarter one, 23% of our students with disabilities had been suspended, which is completely unacceptable. Now we're less than 10% past the end of quarter one. So we are seeing great improvement in that area. Overall, we're also seeing that the use of surveys like the ones we showed for math that we give quarterly, we respond to. Our teachers present back to our students, and we have focus groups with our students during their SEL block or advisory in the middle school to determine next steps that would support them in making their experience stronger so that they feel affirmed and want to be present at school and want to engage in ways that support their community most effectively. So we're seeing great improvement in those areas, particularly in our middle school where we targeted that work.
Really appreciate the thoroughness of your response. I know that, yeah, again, across the district, we're seeing a lot of the same trends as it relates to student culture and to some of the challenges that's plaguing a lot of our students. And while we're seeing gains, we're not seeing some major gains that we would all like to see and really see some return on the capital investment, the capacity investments that we are making throughout the school communities. So thank you so much for that. I will open the floor for additional questions from any of my board colleagues. Hearing none, I think you all may have just got stuck with me. Oh, Sharon McFadden.
Thank you. And thank you to the KIP team. Illuminate for us a little bit more around your staffing model and how you all are working to improve your operating structure to kind of raise student achievement as it relates to the way that your staff is structured. Can you all illuminate that a bit?
Specifically starting at the school level? Go ahead, Ms. Marcia.
No, I was going to ask if you I was going to ask for a clarification, but I was also going to ask if you were going to take that question. So why don't you go ahead?
Yep. So at the school level, one of the key focuses that we found is our student results are tied to the effectiveness of our teachers. So one, giving our teachers a high quality set of instructional materials, which we did for foundational skills, which we saw great results from, and we're doing now in math, also needs to be linked with structures for coaching and collaboration. So that means you have to staff for that. So we have additional assistant principals or instructional coaches or multi-classroom leaders through the Opportunity Culture Program in city schools to provide additional coaching. We've also increased our number of enrichment teachers and interventionists that give our teachers the opportunity to have the release time to do three key things. The power moves for coaching, which would be lesson internalization of our high quality materials, data-driven decision-making, and observation feedback cycles on a weekly basis. Our coaches are structured in a way that allow them to coach between 7 and 10 people directly, meaning everyone in our building gets a cohesive coaching cycle at least twice a month, and our teachers that are struggling the most get coaching on a weekly basis. And we have learning walks that happen on 3-week cycles to monitor key indicators we're seeking to improve so that we can make sure our professional development or weekly content team meetings that we have with the grade level or the content team at that grade level are focused and responsive to what we're seeing from our classrooms in terms of student data and teacher performance data against the instructional framework and other content-based rubrics we utilize from KIP. So our staffing structure allows us to give teachers that attention and support. Additionally, we have a culture team at each school that is trained in conscious discipline. They went to their summer training programs and they work to both respond to student behavior, provide restorative conferencing opportunities and restorative consequences, and then also are able to do learning walks and push in to coach teachers specifically on culture and social emotional lessons so that we can be responsive to our culture data. Our leadership teams meet weekly in what we either call culture progress monitoring, where we monitor our weekly data and each person creates a culture action plan for the week. Or academic progress monitoring in math and ELA, where we monitor our current data and we practice and role play next steps for coaches to be most effective with their teachers. We also believe in real-time coaching. So in those in the moment observations, you're coached in the moment. We all know that in a football game, you don't wait till the end to tell someone what they could do better. You tell them when it happens. So we're doing that with our teachers through real-time coaching. Our coaches understand and know the curriculum so that they could share the pen and co-teach and model, so that they can conference with teachers in the moment to respond to data, because teachers learn best and have the greatest opportunity to understand and feel successful in those moments. We've also done training in the science of reading for all of our teachers. We've paid for them to participate in letters, which resulted in them having the master's equivalent reading course so that they could have the content knowledge to be able to utilize their curriculum appropriately. It's one of the leading things our teachers say has helped them. We were initially set to do that K-2, but we expanded that K-5, and next year there'll be opportunities for our interventionists and special educators in middle school grades to access that letters training too, to support kids in foundational knowledge and foundational literacy skills that they may have gaps in from their elementary experience. Those are just some examples. We also want our principal to be an instructional leader, so we have an operations team to keep operational needs off their plate so that they could be side by side with their APs. I myself am hip to hip with our principals to coach them on coaching their leaders so that we can ensure instructional outcomes are the focus of our conversations on a daily basis. If that didn't answer your question, please do ask a follow-up if I'm off. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. That seems like a lot of support that you all are providing. But for some reason, it's not yielding the academic, it's not yielding the academic success that we're hoping to see. So why do you think that is? With all of the support and all of the structure that you just named, what still seems to be the challenge in raising academic achievement, but also looking at this 5 essential survey as we are focusing on continuous improvement for our schools?
Yep. So I think there's a couple factors. What I just described has been enhanced over the last 2 years. And I think it was the result of us, one of the key factors that we talked about in our presentation is you can coach against materials that a teacher has in front of them to internalize and create and set a high bar for instruction. But we recently shifted to a stronger foundational skills curriculum where you do see those results happening. Our DIBELS results are extremely strong compared to national averages in that K-2 range. That's just not reflected on MCAP assessments yet because they're not yet tested. Those students are going to be tested in the subsequent years on their MCAP assessments as they grow. And so I do think the coaching structures we've learned through that process, we are replicating in upper grades because we've seen the success against those DIBELS measures for foundational literacy. Additionally, the math, high quality instructional materials we put in place this year, as opposed to Eureka Math last year, is leading to stronger results on curriculum-based assessments that we have right now. We will be administering NWA and of course MCAP this year to be able to measure those results, but coaching against high quality materials allows for a greater opportunity for teacher success as it progresses. So these are structures we've been putting in place in the last 2 to 3 years. During COVID, we began the process of analyzing our literacy ecosystem to determine what was at play. And we knew that our teachers lacked some of the content knowledge around the science of reading to effectively implement our curriculum. So we were using a good curriculum, but we weren't using it with fidelity. So we missed out on a lot of what it offered. So now we have the opportunity to use it with fidelity, with the content knowledge we have, to make sure we can adapt it to meet the needs of our kids in a way that's thoughtful and aligned to the science of reading and how the brain learns to read. So these are recent developments we've had that we believe we will see reflected in our data. Along that time, we also saw, while we were making these shifts, COVID also just impacted students access to learning. So we were working to recover from those pieces as well through various intervention opportunities. The 5 essentials, my apologies. We also give a survey, the TNTP Insight Survey, which is a national survey given across KIPP. It is interesting to us that our 5 essentials survey was not effective because the TNTP survey asked similar or the same questions. And on our TNTP survey results, our elementary school is in the top quartile of schools amongst the 280 KIPP schools in indicators around professional collaboration, culture and climate, diversity and equity, data-driven instruction. So it is interesting to us, the 5 essentials we only have administered at the times of charter renewals, that this data is in actual opposition among our elementary school and our middle school. This year transitioned to new leader and new leadership. And so we administer that survey in October. We're waiting on the results that should come in December, but the TNTP survey for our middle school also has higher results than we saw across the 5 essentials, more approaching the KIPP averages for each question and each domain.
Thank you very much. Ms. Alvarez or Chief Jones, is there anything that you all could speak to as it relates to that survey that they just referenced and the 5 essentials that is provided?
I can't speak to the TNTP survey. Honestly, I don't know a lot about it. I don't know. The 5 essentials survey, the reason why we use it, it's the only survey that's predictive of success.
I want to make sure that I'm understanding TNTP is at the new teacher project.
Yes. Oh, sorry. You can't see my face. I was shaking my head. Yes, it is. The Insight survey, I can pull it up really quick to just give you the background of it. It is.
You don't have to do that in this setting, but I wanted to know if that had been referenced previously, Angela, and how it may correlate to our discussion tonight. And we can always come back and get that information later. It doesn't have to be right now.
Let's do that. Let's do a follow-up with KIPP, and then we'll circle back with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vice Chair. I see Commissioner Muhammad.
Hi, Commissioner Muhammad. Did you have any questions or remarks for the KIPP school community?
Yes, quickly, for time, I just want to build on Chair McFadden's question. So it's clear that there are a lot of strategies that you're implementing to increase production around academics. When we look at SEL practices, can you speak towards what you're doing in this realm, particularly with your support staff around the school, maybe your climate officers or hall monitors, and what does that training around SEL look like for that particular group? Because in academics, I hear a lot, and I just want to see what is the climate of the school. Does it reflect the same initiatives that you're doing with regards to new practices?
Yes, thank you for that question. So similar to instruction, for our culture team and for our teachers, because they build the culture within their classrooms that ensure success, we coach our teachers and our culture team and hall monitors, folks that respond to behavior, folks that run our SST processes. They will attend what's called conscious discipline training, which is a 7-day training over the summer when they're new to us. Our leaders have attended it as well. Then throughout the year, we do a study of the text called Conscious Discipline, and we learn key practices based on our data that would improve our teachers' practices with our students. Conscious Discipline, we also align to the book Culture Relevant Teaching from Zaretta Hammond, just to really assess our practices of how our teachers reflect on how they respond to our students and therefore adjust and reflect in a way that allows them to create more affirming spaces with their children, not for or to their children. So our culture team members do walks every 3 weeks. They also have set schedules where they receive an O3 and coaching. They stand up and practice different components of conscious discipline. We're currently working on noticing and assertion from the program. And in our learning walks, we look for targeted actions of that. And then we do responsive professional development or responsive meetings in our grade level teams to practice what that looks like, to analyze our data in our short improvement cycles. We use PDSA cycles, improvement cycles to set a target and see growth and improvement both in student and teacher practices. And we use the conscious discipline rubrics to provide feedback to teachers. In those O3s, they analyze data, create an action plan, and leave with a specific what and how action step to improve their practice. And for our culture team, we're providing them feedback both on their implementation, because often when a culture team member responds to a student, they're already at a state of not being in their executive state or potentially in crisis. So we're coaching them on the de-escalation strategies that they've learned and how to implement them in the moment. We will role play it. We also have folks that pop over to real-time coach them when we're responding to a student to just improve their ability to de-escalate and hopefully return that student to class rather quickly and not result in them needing to be removed from instruction for a period of time or for a suspension. And lastly, we then coach our culture team on how they are coaching specific teachers. So teachers that are demonstrating higher rates of referrals, lower rates of academic performance, and expressing to us their need for support with culture, they'll receive support from a culture team member on a daily basis to get that in the moment modeling and coaching around the implementation of our practices. Recently, when MSDE visited us for our CSI visit, they said we had a strong and impressive, safe and affirming culture. And they observed us in our K-8 classrooms. And in our middle school, we're also embarking on our conscious discipline journey. They're in year 2, where our elementary school is in year 3. So our elementary school has seen more significant decreases in rates of suspensions over time. And our middle school this year, I shared some of that data during our presentation, is seeing significant decreases in behaviors that result in disruptions to class or suspensions. It is an area of focus. We are still struggling with enough related service providers to respond to the needs of our students, but we did add an additional social worker to our school over the last few years to make sure we could more readily respond to students outside of those that might get services on an IEP or 504 to just create opportunities to support them with their social emotional well-being.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions, Commissioner Mohammed. I will invite any other additional board members to questions before we conclude with the KIPP Harmony School Community. Seeing no hands, seeing no one come on camera. Thank you so much to the KIPP Harmony Academy School Community.
Thank you.
Angela.
Thank you.
I will turn it back over to, public comment. Yes. So, Angela, you have remarks?
Yeah, we do have like a short presentation, but do we need to formally conclude the work session and open? I think we probably need to formally conclude the work session and open the hearing.
For the public comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to name, or to offer that the board is offering another opportunity to hear public testimony on these recommendations. And the next opportunity is scheduled for Thursday, January 11th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. If you would like to speak, or if you all want to share out with someone that could not make it here tonight for that meeting on January 11th, 2024 at 6:30, you can sign up at www.baltimorecity.schools.org for more information. So Angela, will you make your remarks before or after we take public comment?
Before, but I just want to be clear that Co-Chair Roberts' comments we're now switching to traditional schools, so we've concluded the session for operator schools. We're now switching over to a different process. So I just want to be clear about that. Lindsay, if you can, so let me reintroduce myself. So we're beginning the next meeting. You guys don't have to, I'm sorry, this is a process question. do you need to formally conclude and reopen since we're going into a different session now? I think you might need to formally, Dr. Judkins, can you give advice there? I think you
So,
guys.
so
Yeah.
Angela, we did not have a quorum to open the meeting. So your remarks to actually officially conclude that first session can be official, and we can officially now move into that next portion.
Okay,
With your
perfect.
next presentation, yes.
Okay, thank you. So again, for folks just joining us, I'm Angela Alvarez. I'm the Senior Executive Director for the Office of New Initiatives. I'm joined by Lindsay. Can I have Lindsay introduce?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Anderson. I'm a specialist in the Office of New Initiatives.
And we're going to have Principal Wilson and Principal Karn just introduce themselves briefly.
Good evening. This is my name is LaWanda Wilson. I'm the principal of Blueford.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the principal of Augusta Fells, Principal Cards.
Okay, and I'm going to turn over to Lindsay. We're going to walk through a short presentation and conclude with the principals before turning it over to public comment.
This board hearing is for public comment on our annual review recommendations for this year. This process aligns with board priorities 3 through 7. And just to kind of reiterate our annual review process, this is an annual process that is centered in ensuring that all students have access to rigorous, robust academic programs and safe and healthy environments that promote their success. A range of factors are considered in this process, including academic performance and programming, climate, access, quality, and distribution of school programming, school enrollment and school size, building utilization and condition, actions that are necessary as a part of the 21st Century School Buildings Plan, and operator renewal, which you just heard about. This is our annual review timeline for this year. So recommendations were shared publicly with the board on November 14th. Tonight, we're having our first hearing to hear public testimony. Our second public hearing will be January 11th, 2024. And then the board will vote on January 23rd during the regular board meeting that evening. The recommendations for our traditional schools are here. The first one is to combine Blueford Drew Jemison STEM Academy West with Augusta Fells Savage Institute of Visual Arts to create one high school in the Harlem Park building where both programs are currently. If the board approves this recommendation, we would support middle school students in choosing another school for school year 24-25. We have another recommendation that is aligned with our 21st Century Buildings Plan. That's to change the surplus date for the Southeast Middle School building from 2025 to 2026. And that is everything.
Thank you, Lindsay. And so the hearing today is exclusively about the proposal to combine BDJ and Augusta Fells, and I just want to open it up to Principal Carnes and Principal Wilson just to share again and remind the community of why they brought this recommendation before the board.
Good evening. Just to kind of reiterate what has been said, Blueford Drew Jemison's enrollment has been decreasing rapidly over the last 4 to 5 years, and it's become really, really difficult to provide robust and enriching educational programming, especially for the high school students. At the present time, we have less than 140 students, 6th through 12th grades. And the hope is that by combining the two high schools, or the high school portion of Blueford, and joining Augusta Fells, that all of the students would be able to have more experiences and more opportunities to have a full and rich high school experience. Financially, it has been very, very difficult to provide to be fiscally responsible in such a way that we're also being responsible for our students. And some of the basic things we've shared earlier, just around, providing simple things like a actual prom, providing literacy and math coaches that other schools have. Those things are not available to us just because we don't have the finances to do, to provide those opportunities with just the BDJ budget as it currently stands.
Good evening, one. Again, this is Principal Carnes from Augusta Falls. I just kind of want to echo what Ms. Wilson kind of stated, that it becomes challenging as a school principal to be able to offer a robust, rigorous academic program when you don't have high enrollment. Augusta Falls are in a rebuilding phase, and obviously with the help of ESSER funds and other grant opportunities, we've been able to rebuild the academic program at the school. We've been able to increase our enrollment. Obviously, combining the two school families would continue for us to be able to offer robust academics, athletics, community opportunities, so that we can continue to be able to offer a comprehensive, rigorous high school within the Harlem Park campus.
And now we're going to open up to public comment. I'm not sure Lindsay or Dr. Judkins is going to call the first person we have signed up.
Yes, thank you. We'll now receive public comment for this evening. I am Dr. Jennifer Judkins. I'm the board executive here in the board office at Baltimore City Schools. So please note that members of the public who have signed up to provide comment will have 3 minutes to speak. If time allows, which we probably should have additional time. Additional members of the public who did not sign up in advance, I put the information in the chat. You can still provide public comment by emailing Lindsay Anderson at the email address that's located there. Or you can also call at the phone number 443-509-8059 and provide your name, address, email address, telephone number, school, civic, or community affiliation, and the agenda topic. And the first person that we have signed up for public comment is Bahia Abdul Aziz. She's a parent at Bluford Drew Jemison STEM Academy West. So Bahia, if you'd like to come on camera, we have her speaking live. Thank you. I don't believe we can hear you. Can you unmute? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Bahia Abdulaziz. I'm a mother of 3 young men that attend BDJ. I don't think that BDJ should close, and I believe that it's giving up on these young men who are endangered species in Baltimore City. We are losing them to crime, death, and imprisonment. And even though they're small in numbers, it's a community and it's a brotherhood. The staff, who includes the teachers and the strong male presence, are our village. They even help out the men, help out after school hours when our boys aren't doing what they're supposed to do. They also keep them on track. These young men are excelling and have grown and are continuing to grow at BDJ. They've become polished and have taken so much more pride in their overall selves. Excuse me. I understand that it's a money and a numbers game, and BDJ doesn't have the numbers that are satisfying to most. But I believe that these young men aren't numbers. Academically, most are doing well. They're going to school, and under previous leadership, their MCAP scores excelled in the district. We have all been blindsided by this proposal, and they have already lost STEM courses, college partnerships, lost staff members, and from being fired or just leaving. I chose to send my sons to BDJ because of its uniqueness and strong male presence. If BDJ closes, we will be it would be a loss of a great investment and legacy. These young men deserve the investment and more funding for BDJ and not closing its doors. In closing, they have chosen this village and have become a willing participant in this village. So I ask, please don't give up on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional folks who would like to make public comment?
Dr. Judkins, is that it for public comment?
I believe that concludes public comment. Angela, do we have additional?
I don't think so. Lindsay, can you confirm?
No, I haven't received any other, nobody else has reached out.
Okay. I think that would conclude our work session for this evening. If there are no additional public comment remarks. Okay, so for the record, there was one public comment. Got it. Okay, thank you all for attending tonight's board special work session for the annual review recommendations. Again, we will have another work session on January 11th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. If you would like to sign up to speak at that meeting, please visit the City Schools website at www.baltimorecityschools.org for more information. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you.